Well, as we've been reporting here at Arise Review, sub-Saharan Africa is getting a lot of attention from investors, and the opportunities extend far beyond natural resources. A new report from the research company A.T. Kearney is reporting to the potential of retail shopping and stores. In fact, it has created what it calls the African Retail Development Index, or ARDI. Countries are ranked by such criteria as market size as well as risk. Rwanda tops the list, followed by Nigeria, Namibia, Tanzania, and Gabon. Each of these countries is considered to have potential for growth in the years ahead. Well, the Atlantic Council is an organization that promotes business development. Aubrey Hruby is the visiting fellow at the Council's Africa Center. Welcome.
Thank you, Julian.
I guess, are you surprised to see Rwanda in first place on this list?
I was a little, because the list is unique and it combines large markets that we're used to talking about, the Nigerias, South Africa, with smaller markets such as Rwanda, Gabon, and Namibia. So very small markets. But at the same time, there are still opportunities in those small markets. So Rwanda has posted very high growth rates, and there are retailers in the region who are finding success there, like Nakumatt, the Kenyan supermarket. So in some ways, it's surprising because of its smaller market size, but in others, in terms of ease of doing business and recent attention by groups like Nakumatt, it is not as unexpected as one might think.
Here's some surprises me. South Africa comes in at number 7 on this ranking. Why so low?
The reason for that is one of the criteria for the ranking is saturation. South Africa is very competitive on the retail space. You have many South African retailers. You have the international fast food companies have been there for decades. So many companies are in that market. You have KFC competing with Burger King, who's just come in, but competing with local companies such as Steers. So in that sense, it's more competitive. So given the market saturation of South Africa, it pushed it down on the list.
We covered extensively when U.S. President Barack Obama went to sub-Saharan Africa and gave that speech, a historic speech in Cape Town, South Africa, and talked about specifically the need for power, electricity in that area of the continent. I guess the question is, when you're talking about business, you're talking about generating dollars. Of course, you're talking about the bottom line and making money. Is the money there? Is it sufficient enough for businesses to come in and tap these markets?
Well, the market fundamentals are compelling. You have a region that's growing rapidly. Average GDP growth across Africa is 6%. It's urbanizing, so you have an urbanization rate of maybe 3, almost 4%. So the cities are getting bigger. You have a consumer class that's already the size of India's, and 22 markets that are at middle income status. So the market sizing is coming out between $400 billion and $1 trillion by 2020. So the market is there. The question that I think international investors have to deal with is, yes, the macro fundamentals are interesting and compelling, but just because you want to go to Nigeria, how do you know which corner in Lagos you want to build your store?
Well, let's focus on Nigeria right now. And some say that might be a resistant market to outside businesses. Why so?
I think it's just a large market that has many local companies that are also playing in the retail space and have opportunities in that space. I think one of the most interesting things going on in Nigeria right now is a race for e-commerce. Who's going to be the eBay of Africa? Who's really going to create the platform that consumers can buy and sell on? And there are many Nigerian companies who are really trying to seize that ground.
Are we seeing a shift now, say, because you mentioned Burger King and the like, so are we seeing a shift now from small markets to large chains?
Yeah, more and more chains are coming to the continent. It's still behind in terms of other regions of the world. So, there's not a Starbucks in Africa. They're still sourcing their coffee.
Oh, come on.
They're still
Not
sourcing
yet.
their coffee, but in sub-Saharan Africa, there are some in Egypt. But they're coming to the game. KFC's got 1,000 stores now in Africa. Burger King is interested and expanding. They've opened in South Africa, but plan to go to the rest of the region. So you'll see more and more. Walmart was big with their entry and through Mossmart in 2011, 2012. So more and more are coming.
Okay, we've got less than a minute left here, but I just want to talk about the westernization of sub-Saharan Africa. Burger King comes in, so they come in like with a regular burger, or they come in with some kind of other burger that is like, you know, indigenous to sub-Saharan Africa. What are we talking about with these
Well,
food chains?
I think they are, like their strategies are for many other markets of the world. They try to localize to tastes, and usually that has to do with sauces and flavors and exciting things. I think KFC's had an advantage because almost every culture in the world likes chicken. So it's, it's just a variation of the product line. And in fact, some of these companies are seeing success because they are providing a global product. So there are consumers who are lining up because they want the Whopper as it is in the rest of the world. So it's almost an aspirational consumption.
And you can't beat that McRib sandwich. We've run out of time. Audrey Hruby, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
It's a great segment.